I didn't think I hated myself. I mean, I wasn't hurting myself. I wasn't screaming into mirrors or crying every night. But slowly I realized I couldn't stand being alone with my own thoughts. I cringed at compliments. I punished myself for tiny mistakes. I rejected good things even when they came. And maybe that's the most dangerous kind of self-loathing, the kind that hides in plain sight. So today I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever felt like you don't deserve love or happiness or success? Like something about you makes you unworthy of the life you dream about? If any part of that feels familiar, then this video might be for you. I'm going to share 7 subtle signs that you might be struggling with self-hate without even realizing it. And more importantly, how we can begin to heal together. I didn't always know I hated myself. In fact, if you had asked me a few years ago, I would have said no, I'm just hard on myself. I just have high standards. But now looking back, I was exhausted all the time. I avoided mirrors. I flinched when people got too close emotionally. And I always felt like I was less than everyone else. I thought I just needed to try harder, push more, fix myself. But here's the thing. You can't fix what you secretly believe is unworthy of love in the first place. Psychologists call it self-loathing, a chronic belief that there is something deeply wrong with you. It doesn't always come from nowhere. Maybe you grew up being constantly criticized, or you were compared to others, or taught to shrink yourself to survive. Maybe you made a mistake years ago and you've never forgiven yourself since. Or maybe the world just wore you down until you started believing you weren't enough. Self-loathing doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. You're a burden. You don't deserve to rest. You're not good enough for them. You'll fail anyway. And if you've been hearing those whispers long enough, you start to believe them. One, I tear myself down every day. There's this voice in my head that never lets up. Whenever I make a mistake, even something small like forgetting to reply to a message, it says you're so irresponsible. When someone compliments me, I instantly think they're just being polite. I never let myself enjoy my wins, but I replay my failures like a broken record. That's the first sign. You've become your own worst bully. Self-awareness is healthy, but when self-criticism becomes a daily habit, when it feels like you can't do anything right, it often comes from something deeper, a quiet hatred of who you think you are. 2, I feel small around other people. It doesn't matter if they're kind or not. The moment I'm in a room with someone confident, attractive, smart, I shrink. I start comparing. Their laugh sounds easier. Their life looks smoother. And suddenly everything about me feels dull and inadequate. Constant comparison is often a symptom of self-loathing. Because when you don't believe in your own worth, other people become reminders of everything you think you lack. 3, I stopped taking care of myself, not because I was lazy, but because I didn't think I was worth it. I'd skip meals, ignore my health, let my room fall apart, not out of neglect but as a form of punishment. There was a time I looked in the mirror and thought, this is what I deserve. And I didn't even realize how cruel that was. Because when you love someone, you take care of them right. So when I stopped caring for myself, it was a quiet confession. I didn't love me. 4, I couldn't let myself be happy. Whenever something good happened, an opportunity, a compliment, a lucky break, I'd brace for the crash. Happiness felt foreign, dangerous. I pushed it away because I thought I don't deserve this. People say joy is our birthright. But when you're full of guilt, shame, or unworthiness, it feels like a stolen prize, so you don't even try to enjoy it. You just sabotage it. 5, I pulled away from everyone who loved me. I canceled plans, ignored texts, and said I'm just busy when really I felt like a burden. I believed that anyone who liked me just hadn't seen the real me yet, and the more they cared, the more uncomfortable I felt. That's the irony of self-loathing. You crave connection, but you push it away because you feel unworthy of it. 6, I wore a mask everywhere I went, smiling, joking, being the okay one. But deep down, I was crumbling. I thought if people really knew me, they'd leave, so I became a master of pretending. And the scariest part, sometimes I fooled even myself. When you hate who you are, pretending becomes a way to survive. But it's also how you slowly lose sight of yourself. 7, I was afraid to dream. Every time I imagined a better version of my life, one where I was confident, loved, healthy, I'd shut it down. Don't get your hopes up, I'd whisper to myself. Why dream when you're only going to fail? It took me years to realize. Self-loathing kills dreams before they can even begin. Not because we're incapable, but because we're convinced we're not worthy of more. These 7 signs didn't all show up at once. They crept in quietly, subtly, but once I started naming them, I could finally begin healing them. I wish I could tell you that I woke up one day and suddenly loved myself, but the truth is, healing self-loathing takes time. And for me, it started with very small things, tiny acts that felt almost meaningless at first, but over time they built something new. Here are the habits that helped me begin that journey. 1, I started talking back to the voice in my head, that inner critic that always said you're not good enough. I started replying, Not with fake positivity, but with kindness. I messed up, but I'm still learning. It's okay to rest. I'm not a machine. Rewiring your inner dialogue doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with noticing when you're being cruel to yourself and gently choosing a different tone. 2, I stopped skipping self-care. At first, brushing my hair, cleaning my room, or cooking a decent meal felt pointless, but I kept telling myself this is what you do for someone you love. So I did it anyway, even when I didn't feel like I deserved it. Eventually, it didn't feel like a chore. It felt like a quiet kind of love. 3, I practiced receiving kindness without flinching. I used to reject compliments or assume people were lying. Now, when someone says something kind, I say thank you. That's it. Because learning to receive love is just as healing as giving it. 4, I started journaling my inner world. I'd write down every moment I caught myself tearing myself down and then challenge it. Is this really true? Would I say this to my best friend? Over time, I began to see patterns. And in those patterns, I found space for growth. 5, I reminded myself self-love isn't a feeling, it's a practice. It's not about feeling good all the time. It's about choosing to show up for yourself, especially on the days when you feel like the most unlovable version of who you are. If no one's told you this today, you don't have to earn the right to be loved. You don't have to fix yourself completely before you're allowed to feel joy. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy. I spent years believing I was broken, unlovable, unwanted, too flawed to be seen, but slowly I realized what I called self-hate was actually pain. Pain that had nowhere to go. Pain that I turned inward because I didn't know how to ask for help. But healing began the moment I stopped fighting myself and started listening. So maybe you're not too sensitive. Maybe you're not lazy or too much. Maybe you're just tired of carrying shame that was never yours to begin with. And if that's you, I want you to remember this. You are not behind. You are not alone. And you are not your pain. You are becoming. If this video spoke to you, please share it with someone else who might need to hear it. Leave a comment below and let me know which sign felt the most familiar to you. I'd love to hear your story. You're out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so we can keep growing, healing, and becoming together right here every week on High Day Psych.